August 20th, 2024, Springside Drive in Atlanta, Georgia. Just before 9 p.m., a quiet neighborhood became the setting for a tragedy that would shake an entire family and leave 4 children, carrying a kind of pain no child should ever know. Courtney Reese was 32 years old, a mother of 4. People who knew her described her as the kind of woman who could lift the mood in any room, always laughing, always encouraging, always making sure everyone felt fed, welcomed, and seen. She was the hype person in the family, the one who checked on everyone, the one who kept things moving even when life was heavy. And life had been heavy. Just 3 months before Courtney was killed, her family had already been hit by another loss. In May 2024, her younger sister, Symmetria Edwards, was killed by a stray bullet during a family gathering meant to honor someone who had passed away. It wasn't targeted. It wasn't personal. It was the kind of senseless violence that leaves people asking the same question over and over. Why them? For their father, Travis Edwards, grief became a daily battle. He was trying to process losing one daughter, trying to keep his family standing when the unthinkable happened again. Almost exactly 3 months later, he would be mourning another child. After Symmetria's death, Courtney reportedly made a decision that many people make after tragedy. She wanted to straighten out her life. She wanted distance from anything that felt risky, unstable, or threatening, especially for her children. She had already watched gun violence steal someone she loved. She didn't want her home to be the next headline. Part of that decision meant ending a relationship. The man was Derek Rankins, 33, Courtney's ex-boyfriend. According to accounts circulating online from people claiming to be family members, Derek had recently been released from jail and had been actively searching for Courtney. Some said he was posting online and trying to locate her, like he couldn't accept the relationship was over. And then came the part of the story that sparked intense debate and rumors. Family members and social media posts claimed Courtney had learned something about Derek that he wanted kept private, and that she told friends about it. The allegations centered on Derek's private life and who he may have been involved with. It's important to say clearly, these claims were not confirmed by police in the immediate aftermath, and online narratives can spread fast, mixing truth with speculation. But Courtney's family believes strongly that this was the motive, that Derek felt exposed, humiliated, and angry, and that he blamed Courtney for it. Whether the motive was exactly what people claimed or something else entirely, the reality was simpler and more terrifying. Courtney felt she needed to leave the relationship, and Derek did not let go. On the night of August 20th, the street was calm, families inside, kids settling down, the normal rhythm of a weekday night. Then just before 9 p.m., everything changed. A neighbor's Ring camera captured a short clip, only 27 seconds, but it was enough to become a key piece of evidence in the case. The recording showed Courtney outside, pleading, begging for mercy. The person confronting her is identified by family members as Derek Rankins. The encounter ends with gunfire. Courtney collapsed near a neighbor's porch. Inside the home, her children were still there. They couldn't see everything, but they heard enough. Screams, shots, the panic, the silence afterward. That kind of sound doesn't leave a child's mind easily. It becomes a memory that replays itself, especially in the quiet moments at night, at school, when life tries to feel normal again. When officers arrived, they found Courtney with critical injuries. Despite the response, she did not survive. The next day, as the investigation accelerated, police identified Derek Rankins as the suspect. An arrest warrant was issued, and the ring footage played a major role in connecting him to the crime. Investigators worked to track him down quickly because they believed he was armed and dangerous. Courtney's family, meanwhile, was left trying to breathe through shock. Her older sister, Lena, shared a message that captured the rawness of sudden loss, how grief doesn't arrive politely, how it interrupts everything. She described replaying the video in her mind, remembering Courtney's voice, remembering their last conversation. She wrote about wishing she had stayed on the phone longer, wishing she had known it would be the last time. That's one of grief's cruelest tricks. It turns ordinary moments into regrets, even when you did nothing wrong. As the community reacted, the case grew even more urgent. Derek had been on the run since the night Courtney was killed. And then, about a week later, on Tuesday, August 27th, authorities closed in. Law enforcement surrounded a home in Stockbridge, where Derek had reportedly barricaded himself. The U.S. Marshals Southeastern Fugitive Task Force was involved in the attempt to serve the warrant and take him into custody. The standoff stretched on, tense and unpredictable. During the standoff, shots were fired from inside the home. An 18-year veteran U.S. Marshal was struck in the arm. The officer was taken for medical care, and it was later confirmed the injury was not life-threatening. Hours passed as negotiators tried to end the situation without more loss. But the standoff ended with a grim discovery. Derek Rankins was found dead inside. Officials did not immediately release full details about the exact circumstances of his death. What mattered to the public was the outcome. The manhunt was over, but the family would never get answers in a courtroom. There would be no trial, no cross-examination, no sentencing where the world could look the suspect in the eye and say, "This is what you did." Still, there was a kind of finality, especially for a family terrified that Derek might hurt someone else. Courtney's father, Travis, spoke with the weight of someone who had buried too much too fast. He didn't celebrate death, but he expressed relief that Derek could not harm another family the way his had been harmed. 3 days after Courtney's death on August 23rd, friends and family held a balloon release to honor her life. Purple balloons rose into the sky. There was music, love, and stories shared out loud because sometimes grieving people do that. They turn mourning into a celebration, not because the pain isn't real, but because the person they lost was bigger than the moment that took them. One of the most heartbreaking images from that gathering was Courtney's 13-year-old daughter standing with a strength that shouldn't be demanded of a child, speaking for her mother, encouraging her siblings, promising them safety and loyalty. In an instant, childhood becomes responsibility. And the world expects a kid to be strong, even though strong is not what they should have to be. A GoFundMe was created to help with burial costs and to support the children. People donated, some who knew Courtney personally and others who only knew her through the story, moved by the fact that a devoted mother was gone and 4 children were left behind. Courtney's homegoing service followed. Loved ones gathered to say goodbye. They spoke about her laugh, her cooking, her energy, her devotion to her kids. They spoke about how she worked tirelessly to keep her children provided for, how she showed up for school and activities, how she made sure her kids felt loved. And then the story reached a question that has divided many people online. Should Courtney have stayed silent about what she allegedly discovered? Would silence have kept her safe? Or did she have every right to speak, to warn others, to protect herself? There is no simple answer, because the burden of someone else's violence should never be placed on the victim's words. Courtney did not cause her own death by talking. Derek's choices did that. Violence is a decision made by the person who commits it, and responsibility belongs there, fully. This case also highlights something else many families recognize too late. Danger often escalates after a relationship ends, especially when the other person feels entitled, rejected, or obsessed with control. That's why people who are trying to leave a volatile situation need support, safety planning, and to be taken seriously. Not blamed, not dismissed, not told they're overreacting. Courtney Reese was 32. She should be here raising her children, teasing her sister on the phone, laughing about everyday life, planning the next birthday, the next school year, the next normal night at home. Instead, 4 children will grow up with a missing seat at the table. A father will carry the weight of losing 2 daughters in 3 months. A family will measure time as before and after, and a neighborhood will remember the night everything changed. Rest in peace, Courtney Reese. May your children be surrounded by protection and love. And may your name be remembered for the life you lived, not only the tragedy that took you. And in the comments, a question remains, one that people will argue about, but that also reveals something deeper about safety, relationships, and accountability. When someone discovers something disturbing or dangerous about another person, what is the safest way to respond? Silence, distance, warning others, or all of the above? If this story moved you, remember behind every statistic is a human being who once laughed, loved, and dreamed. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more real stories that uncover the darkest sides of human nature and the lessons they leave behind. This is True Crime and Scam Stories, where every story has a heartbeat.